What's up, guys? Carolina Jackpot coming at you. It's Saturday morning, October the 26th, and true to form, picks against the spread will happen now. I haven't been able to do that video this week. Something personal, rather not get into, has come up and made it hard for me to get that in this week. I've had several reach out and ask me about it, but I'm going to rattle it off real quick. Sorry for the shortened version, but next week we should be getting back to normal format of picking these games. So you can listen along with me and then see how I do. Perhaps I'll put it down in the comment section below if I have time. I'm not sure. I'm going to get this done really quick here. Wisconsin on the road at Ohio State. According to this, now I wrote these down several days ago, so some of these lines have changed a little bit. Wisconsin is catching 14 and hook on the road at Ohio State. I'm going to take Ohio State in that game. Just can't bet against them. The offense, just too much. Wisconsin has a really, really good defense, but I trust Ohio State's offense to be able to score points more than I trust Wisconsin's offense to be able to score on Ohio State. Of course, Wisconsin with a great running game. I think Ohio State has the personnel to slow it down. Not stop it, but slow it down. Are playing at home. Give me the Buckeyes in that one. Oklahoma on the road at Kansas State. Kansas State is catching 23.5 at home. Oklahoma the favorite there. I'm going to take Kansas State in that game. I think I can slow this game down just enough to keep it under that 23.5. Iowa on the road at Northwestern. Northwestern is a 10-point underdog at home. Points have come at a premium to the Hawkeyes this year. It seems like their defense has played pretty well. Northwestern has just been an awful team this year, but I'm going to back the purple here. I'm giving me Northwestern to cover the spread in this game. I think there could be an upset there. They're always good for one a year, it seems like, to win one that they shouldn't win. By this point in the year, they normally have turned their season around and are usually headed towards a mid-tier bowl game after having a terrible start. This year, they've had a terrible start and a terrible season all the way around. Faced a tough schedule, but give me Northwestern to cover in this game. We got Mississippi State going on the road to Texas A&M. Texas A&M laying 10.5 at home. This is kind of a tough spot. Neither team has played particularly well this year. I think both of them have failed to meet expectations, but give me Texas A&M at home, and I'll cross my fingers that they cover in that game. They really, most of their wins have been by about a touchdown, it seems like, except for the games against the lower classification teams. But I'll take them in this spot, and hopefully they'll play well today and win that one for me. Miami on the road at Pitt. Miami is 5.5-point underdogs at Pittsburgh. This seems like another one of those funky lines where you would think, why are they not favored by more than that? I mean, you look at Miami, it's kind of a strange team, isn't it? I mean, they play a close game against Florida to start the season off. Actually, probably should have won that game. They beat Virginia, a good team, and then they just totally get obliterated by I'm drawing a blank here. They got obliterated. They were getting obliterated by Virginia Tech, and then come back to make that game close. They lose it. They lose to Georgia Tech, which has probably about the worst offense in the FBS. But give me Pitt here to cover. I'm not buying that. I don't believe in Miami, and I think that I don't think they're really playing really particularly well for Manny Diaz right now at this point in time. I think somebody may be kicking themselves over that particular situation right about this time. Illinois on the road at Purdue. Purdue, 9.5-point favorites at home. I think they win this game. And give me Purdue to cover there. Illinois, they won last week. I'm not a believer in them. I'm just not. Purdue, while not a very good record on the year, they did blowout win at home against Maryland. They kept the game against Minnesota fairly close to final score. Made it look closer than it really was. It was a 7-point spread against an undefeated Minnesota team. So I'm going to back Purdue in this spot. Give me the Boilermakers at home. Indiana on the road at Nebraska. Nebraska is 2.5-point favorites at home. Nebraska definitely failed to meet expectations this year by a long shot. Probably the most disappointing team in college football. As far as my picks back this summer went, and what we thought people would do, they have to be the most disappointing. But give me them to cover the spread here at home. It's only 2.5 points. I think the home field advantage in Lincoln probably is worth about 4 or 5 points at least. It's got to be. So give me Nebraska here to cover against Indiana. Tulane on the road at Navy. Navy is laying 2.5 at home. I'm going to take the midshipmen to cover in this one. They've just played better of recent times than Navy has, or Tulane has. Tulane fresh off of got blown out by Memphis last time out. I think that Navy is just a little bit better of a team, a little bit more disciplined here. 2.5 points, not a lot. Navy will hold not a traditional type scoring there. Navy will put a decent amount of points on the board there and slow Tulane down just enough to get the win there at home. Give me Navy to cover against Tulane. Green Wave. Penn State on the road at Michigan State. Penn State laying 6 points on the road. Give me Penn State there to cover in that one as well. Last week against Michigan at home, 7-point win. I don't think Penn State even played particularly well in that game. I was still able to get the victory there. Their quarterback I don't think the guy's thrown an interception all year. I just don't see how also that Michigan State's going to be able to move the ball against this team. So give me the Nittany Lions there covering on the road against Michigan State. Virginia on the road at Louisville. Louisville catching 3.5 at home against Virginia. I'm going to back the Virginia Cavaliers there in that spot. Louisville fresh off a 45-10 beating against Clemson. Now, they have kept games against Virginia. A couple of years ago, they had one where it was really close. I'm thinking about something else. Never mind. Actually, that was a couple of years ago. Louisville was the team that was very highly ranked at the time, and Virginia kept the game close against it. They played close games about it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This is 2019. Virginia's just a better team. Bryce Perkins, I think, is going to run all over that Louisville defense, especially in the second half when they get worn down, and give me Virginia to cover there against the Louisville Cardinals on the road. Auburn on the road at LSU. This is a big one right now. LSU 10.5-point favorites at home against Auburn. Front four of Auburn extremely dominating. Has done a really, really good job this year. A lot of people say Auburn doesn't have any offense. Which is not entirely true. I mean, where did they get 51 points against Arkansas from? Was it the special teams caused that? Were they defensive touchdowns? No. Auburn has some talented athletes right now. Their number one running back has been on the shelf. They've been forced to turn to Cam Martin, who's done a nice job for him. Did a good job for last week against Arkansas. On the road at LSU, we saw Auburn kind of struggle offensively in a really tough environment against Florida about a month or so ago. And this environment is probably just a shade tougher than playing at Florida. I mean, both of them really, really tough places to play. I'd say this is just a little bit tougher of a venue, and I know that LSU is going to be able to score some points here. Don't think that they're going to be I don't think they're going to eclipse their average that they've been getting this year, but I think they're going to score enough to win this game by at least 2 touchdowns. Give me LSU here to win this game and cover that 10.5 point spread. I mean, I just think LSU is for real this year. I think this is one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the nation, and Auburn, while improved, they're not quite there yet with the freshman quarterback. I do expect them to improve in the next couple of years and get up to that level, but right at this point in time, they're not. Give me LSU to cover in that game. Syracuse is on the road at Florida State. Florida State's laying 10 points at home, and I do expect them to cover that spread. An up-and-down team this year, has looked good in a couple of games. There were a couple of games on the road at Virginia, and then the opener on the neutral side at Boise State. They should have won both those games and led both of them in the fourth quarter. Record should be better at this point in time than what it is. They did lose last Saturday, I believe it was, to Wake Forest. A last-second field goal try, missed there. But, I mean, honestly, Wake Forest, one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the ACC this year. So not a bad loss. I'm going to take them to cover here. I don't trust Syracuse at all anymore after laying points with them last time out against Pitt. I mean, this is just not a very good football team offensively. I mean, they can't do anything. And I had called for this to happen in the summer. I told people that Syracuse is not going to be as good as what everybody thought they were going to be this year. They're like, oh, everybody's like, that's going to be the team that's going to give Clemson the toughest test that they're going to get all year long. No, no, they didn't. And I knew it wasn't going to be because when that Eric Dungy kid wasn't playing last year, the past couple of years, Syracuse was terrible. And you see it this year. Dungy's gone. And this new kid just hadn't been able to get the ball rolling there. So I'm going to take Florida State to cover against Syracuse at home. Give me FSU and 10 points. Texas on the road at TCU. As of this one, TCU is 1.5 point underdog at home. I saw one last night where Texas was a 1 point favorite. It's back and forth, so just make that one easy. Give me Texas straight up to win that game and cover that spread. I think Sam Ehlinger and crew will have enough offense to get past TCU. They hadn't looked particularly great their last few times out, and just I don't trust them. Texas is kind of in do-or-die mode right now after losing to Oklahoma. These guys know that they've got to win out here in these Big 12 games just to get that Big 12 championship, and they also know that he's got a tough test coming against Baylor, and that's a game that definitely is going to be one to watch coming in the near future. So give me Texas here to cover against TCU. I think to take care of business there because they have to. Oklahoma State on the road at Iowa State. Iowa State 10.5 point favorites. They've looked really, really impressive this year. A couple of nice wins. They've covered the spread a couple of times. So I'll take them here to cover the spread against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, I think, has been a little bit overvalued some this year a couple of times, and I'm not going to get burnt with them again. Give me the Iowa State Hawkeyes here at home. What did I just say? Cyclones, sorry, to cover the spread at home against Oklahoma State. Here's the degenerate special for you, and I just picked this one. I put this one on in our Facebook group on the Rob and Comrade show, the podcast that we do. We have a pick that we do there. It's sponsored by Callaway's Sports Bar and Grill down there in West Columbia, South Carolina. Excellent place for wings, beer, and a good time. I gave them this degenerate special and put it on the contest this week. UConn is on the road at UMass. Both teams are 1-6, and Connecticut is laying 10 points on the road at UMass here. And looking at this one, both teams similar statistically this year. However, I'm going to lean with Connecticut just by looking at the schedule that they have played in the AAC. I mean, they've just kind of gotten battle hardened. They're toughened up a little bit, I think. They played UCF, they played Houston, a couple of other teams there in the AAC that really worn them out a little bit. But South Florida, another one. But UMass, a team that plays an independent schedule, that really they've just been kind of all over the place. They've given up an absolute ton of points. UConn's given up a ton of points as well. But I still think UConn, probably the better team with a little bit better athlete here. I'm going to take them to cover on the road against the Minutemen. Speaking of more AAC action, South Florida is on the road at East Carolina. South Florida laying 2 on the road at ECU. I am going to call for this one the East Carolina Pirates to cover the score here, or to cover the spread here, and I think that they win this game. They've been close. They've played better this year under first-year head coach Mike Houston, and I feel like he gets that first kind of signature-type win for them at this program to signal that the program's coming back a little bit. I feel like he's going to bring it back eventually, and all coaches like that do things of that nature always have that first signature-type win. I mean, although is this a juggernaut team that they're playing in South Florida? No, it's not. But I still like East Carolina at home here to cover the spread. Give me the Pirates. South Florida is off of a awful loss last week on the road against Navy, maybe down a little bit. Give me East Carolina. Duke playing on the road at North Carolina. North Carolina's laying 2.5 at home. I mean, I don't know who in the world to take here. Duke has been very Jekyll and Hyde this year. I mean, is this going to be the same Duke team that went out and won, what was it, like 42-10, 45-10 on the road, just destroyed Virginia Tech at Virginia Tech on a Friday night? Or is this going to be the team that went out and laid a big old egg last week against Virginia and lost like 48-14 on the road? Or is North Carolina, are they going to have some after effects from playing, what was it, a 6 overtime game against Virginia Tech? I don't know here. This is a big rivalry game. What do they play for, like the Victory Bell or something? Being in Chapel Hill, this is a 2.5-point spread. It's a tough one. I'm going to take UNC here. They seem to be about even to me. Just by virtue of being at home, I'm going to give North Carolina here to cover against Duke in this ACC Coastal Division Victory Bell matchup. South Carolina Gamecocks on the road against Tennessee. Gamecocks laying 4 and a hook in Knoxville. I already talked about this one in a video at length the other day. I expect the Gamecocks to come out here, and I expect them to play well in this game. It's raining right now in Knoxville, Tennessee. Last week, Gamecocks played in the rain as well. I don't know if by game time it's still expected to be raining or not, but I expect them to play well here in this spot. This is another one, a win that they have to have. They've got to get this win today if they're going to make a bowl game. I'm just going to lay it out there. They got to get this win if they're going to get a bowl game this year, and I believe they get it done. Most of the games between South Carolina and Tennessee, as a rule, like the past 8-9 years, have been 3 points or less. But, things have to change eventually. Eventually things change. I think South Carolina's just a better team here. While our quarterback situation is not great, Ryan Nowinski the past few weeks, he has not looked like the same guy to me that he looked like against Alabama, where he had kind of his breakout party. He's not connecting with these wide receivers like he needs to. It's just been the timing's been off. But we can see that South Carolina can run the ball. They can run the ball against Tennessee. Now, if it doesn't work a couple of times, don't give up on it. Keep running the ball. We don't have to win by throwing it all around the ball field all day long. Just run the ball, play good defense, and this should not be a problem. I think the Gamecocks take this one, and I think they take it fairly easily. I look for this to be A game kind of like the Kentucky game was this year. I don't think Tennessee is going to be able to really score a whole lot of points against the South Carolina defense. That's been the healthier part of our squad there. So I'm going to give Gamecocks here to cover against Tennessee on the road. We have Texas Tech going on the road, taking on Kansas. And Texas Tech is laying 4.5 on the road at Kansas. I'm going to take Texas Tech in this spot to cover against Kansas. I think they'll win and win big here. They're going to put some points on the board. I think Kansas is probably just spent from that efforts that they put up against Texas last week on the road in a losing effort. I don't think they're going to be able to do it 2 times in a row, score that many points. Give me Texas Tech in this spot to win that game and cover. Arkansas on the road at Alabama. Alabama's 31.5-point favorites against Arkansas. Tua Tagovailoa is not going to be available in this game. Matt Jones will be the quarterback for Alabama. Doesn't matter. I mean, look at the athletes he's got around him. The Jerry Judys of the world, Henry Ruggs of the world. All he's got to do is get the ball to them, the Najee Harris of the world, and they should be just fine. Last week, Jones kind of thrust into that situation there against Tennessee a little bit, and Alabama wasn't playing particularly well in that game when he got there, and continued to not play particularly well as far as Alabama standards go, but they still got the win, and he's had a whole week of practice now under his belt, and knowing that he's going to be the starter, I'll look for Alabama to cover here. Arkansas is just absolutely terrible. Give me Alabama at home. UCF on the road at Temple. Temple's 10.5-point underdogs at home. I find this a little surprising. To me, this is an easy one to pick up all week. I'm going to take Temple at home to win that, and not only to win that, to cover the spread, I would look for them to probably win the game. Temple had a really near miss against Memphis earlier on the season a few weeks ago. Kind of didn't look that great on the road against SMU. But Temple has just looked like the better team this year. UCF has kind of regressed this year. And I'm going to take Temple at home in this spot to cover against South Florida. A few more left here. Boston College on the road at Clemson. BC is a 34-point underdog at home or on the road against Clemson. I think Clemson will win and win easily. I don't think they're going to win by 34. Boston College is going to run the ball with A.J. Dillon. It's about all they can do. Their quarterback, Anthony Brown, is gone for the year. I think they're going to slow the game down just enough. Give me Clemson to win by about 4 touchdowns. Missouri on the road at Kentucky. Missouri led 10 on the road. They're looking to bounce back, and I think they bounce back in a major way. This is the right opponent to do it against. Kentucky has been awful this year. I guess they're still going to be playing Lynn Bowden at quarterback there. I don't know if Sawyer Smith is going to be available. I don't know which one's better. Lynn Bowden can't really complete a forward pass, and Sawyer Smith, neither can he. I mean, Kentucky's just... they've really fallen off the map this year. I look for Missouri to cover there and bounce back after that bad loss on the road at Vanderbilt. Arizona State at UCLA. UCLA is 3.5-point underdogs at home. Give me Arizona State there. I think they've looked better this year. I've only lost 1 game so far. UCLA did win last time out on the road at Stanford. Stanford playing like their 12th string quarterback. And they went through like 3 offensive lines so far this year, and so that's not really an impressive win anymore. I think that they're probably on about the same level there, and UCLA got that win. Arizona State playing good football this year. I think they will take the victory there in Rose Bowl against UCLA. Give me Arizona State and 3.5 points. Notre Dame on the road at Michigan. As of this one, Notre Dame was a 1-point favorite. It's also listed as a pick-em in a lot of places. Maybe if you look around, you may be able to find Michigan as the home favorite in this spot. I'm going to take Notre Dame. I think they've just looked better this year, and I think that Ian Book and crew will be able to move the ball enough against Michigan to get that win. I think it'll be a very tight game. But Michigan's coming off of a game against Penn State. It was a very tough game for them. Certainly had to have gotten beat up a little bit there in that spot. Took a loss, 28-21, last Saturday night. Notre Dame is coming off a bye week. So that's huge, and that looks to me to be an advantage. This is a tough environment to play at, no doubt. But Notre Dame did go on the road to another tough environment this year at Sanford Stadium against Georgia, and almost pulled the victory out there against them at nighttime. So I'm going to lean towards Notre Dame in this game. I think they finish up the regular season 11-1. Cal on the road at Utah. Utah is laying 21 at home against Cal. Not sure. I don't know that all the offensive playmakers for Utah are healthy at this point. But Cal has looked really bad this year. They went out and gave Oregon State their second Pac-12 victory also, and two a couple weeks ago. I'm going to take Cal here to cover this. I just don't think that Utah, I think they're going to be banged up a little bit and not quite able to cover that 21 points. Final game on the docket here, Washington State at Oregon. Oregon is laying 14 at home against Washington State. Oregon's been on a bit of a roll lately. Look for it to come to a halt here. I'm not saying look for a letdown. Look for it to come to a bit of a halt here. This is a team that can move the ball with them, and a team that defensively, you'd be surprised, may be able to slow Oregon down just a little bit. Give me the Washington State Cougars here to slow this game down. I think they cover the spread against Oregon, but I don't think they're going to win it outright. That's my picks against the spread for week number 9, guys. Sorry about the format here, the driving down the road thing. I just have not been able to get these things done this week. And like I said, hopefully next week things will settle back down and I can do it within the confines and comfort of my own home. And I know I didn't get kicked out of the house or anything. Quite frankly, I just been working an awful lot. And I just have been absolutely exhausted by the time it's time that I sit down tonight and make these picks against the spread. So that's the truth of the matter. So I will see y'all later. Go Gamecocks. Tune in for that today, where there might be a live stream during the game at some point in time. There might not. I don't know. There'll definitely be a post-game reactionary video. I'll see y'all later. Thanks for thank you for your support. If you enjoyed this video, please hit it with a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. I promise you, we don't do this type of content all the time. It's usually much more professional. I'll see y'all later. Appreciate it. Peace. I'm out. Go Gamecocks.